Hello, thanks for tuning in. Well, 2 weeks ago, I arrived home back in the Algarve in Portugal, where I do live and love to live. And I've been on a 10-week tour of Northern Europe. And it was the longest road trip on a motorcycle I've ever been on in my life. At 72 now. Yeah, this is just some feedback about the route I took, countries I visited. I've made loads of videos about places I've been, and I've talked about this motorcycle on several of them, and the general theme is that this motorcycle, for a 450cc single cylinder small adventure bike, I cannot believe how well this thing tours on every possible road surface, from dirt gravel, did some dirt gravel, did minor back roads, bumpy surfaces, sweeping twisty A roads, motorways, autostradas, autobahn, whatever you call them, whichever country you're in, but a lot of big fast highway riding. And it says on the adverts for this bike, it's made for all roads and made for no roads. Well, so far in my own experience, I can honestly say it definitely does all roads. And I've covered about 13,000 kilometers. I'll translate that to mileage on the video. So we started here. Up to Rotterdam. So what were the most memorable parts of the whole trip then, the whole 10 weeks? Well, the first 7 days was really getting through Europe up to the port of Rotterdam, because I had a deadline, I had to catch the ferry. I didn't do any filming. Filming and riding and getting to the port, I didn't want to put the stress on myself. There was enough to do anyway. The first 2 days was scorching heat. Going over the Pyrenees was like pissing with rain. France was just wind, gales. And then Belgium and Netherlands was rain. To cross over to Hull overnight in England, in Yorkshire, and then cross up to just an hour away to stay with my family. After that, I rode up to Scotland, and it's off the map here. So turn the map over, and there's the rest of the UK, Scotland. So after I'd stayed in Yorkshire, I then rode up to Perthshire in Scotland, and spent some time with some more of my family. And of course, the UK was about quality time with my family, both in Yorkshire and then Scotland. So that was well worth the trip by itself. So then from Perthshire, I rode down to Newcastle upon Tyne, got the ferry overnight again, came back. This time we come to Amsterdam and rode off into the north of Holland here and did some camping for 2 nights. And then got back to Europe, got to Holland, and I decided I'd lugged all this new camping gear, brand new camping gear, bearing in mind I haven't camped for 14 years. I gave it up as a bad job years ago. I don't know how I decided to try it again. Anyway, I could have made the wrong choice in equipment. Now, the first night was like a gorgeous, warm summer evening. And it was like the stuff was laid outside, the tent, it was a 2-man tent. I didn't need to worry about anything. It was a lovely campsite, peaceful corner, and it was a beautiful evening. I slept warm. I have a 3-season duvet type sleeping bag, which can zip together, become a sleeping bag, but it's not a mummy type, it's a blanket type. And it was beautiful. I just laid on the mattress and this laid over top of me, completely starkers, thinking, oh, this is the life. Gorgeous, actually. Really enjoyed it. And that was summer camping. And that's what I thought the rest of the trip was going to be like till the next night. And oh my God, I couldn't believe it. 24 hours. Storms, wind, rain, thunder, lightning, and the wind was so strong. I mean, I was started to cook my dinner, and then suddenly this storm hit, and I had to dash with my cooker over to a sheltered area under a barn to carry on cooking. It was so bloody cold, you could not believe the difference. And anyway, I ended up eating my dinner, and then I had to dash through the rain back to the tent. Got in the tent, and I had to, because everything had to be thrown inside, squashed in with me, and then it got colder and colder. The wind was whistling through the bloody tent, and it was just, I ended up putting clothes on, getting back into zipping the sleeping bag up, getting out, putting more clothes on. 4 in the morning, I hadn't slept, so I decided I had to go to there's like a kitchen area where there's chairs and tables and a kettle, and you can make cups of tea. And I spent the rest of the night in there. And I'm just glad the next day it stopped raining so I could put the tent away. Anyway, that was my camping experience. And yeah, so lug all the gear all the way with me to my friends in Germany, tell them the story, and they say, we're driving back to Portugal in September. Would you like us to take your camping gear with you? It didn't take me long to say yes, please. And that was that. So after the camping experience, I rode 2 days through Germany to friends, Lutherberg, Wittenberg. Stayed there for I think about 3 days. After that, I was stayed up here for a couple of days with some more friends. So points that really I enjoyed in Germany, staying with friends. I've got some lovely friends, two families of friends, and they really did treat me so well. And then I had a day in Berlin, just on my own. I took a hop on, hop off bus tour of Berlin. Fascinating, very interesting. Yeah, city worth spending a couple of days in, I think. But anyway, so that was my time in Germany. A great way to find your way around and find points of interest is on this website called Atlas Obscura, and I used it a lot. And it really does show a lot of places you can visit in cities, outside of cities, and of all kinds of different things, whether it's museums to just, viewpoints, anything in between, statues, just strange things, some of them. But it gets you to go places, and I'm going to use that in future without a doubt. Atlas Obscura. Then I was through into Poland and basically spent a few days touring around the northern area here, sightseeing, going to various things on Atlas Obscura. When I got to Poland, there was a lot of touring around, did see a lot of things, but most notably, roads closed, just closed roads, and the diversions were very vague. I didn't really understand them. And I'm talking about some minor back roads, but also major roads. And then it was a challenge to find my way on a lot of occasions, on a lot of roads. So that was quite interesting, actually, to do that. Anyway, I always found my way, but that was quite a thing to have to deal with. Yeah, until I came to Gdansk and stayed there a couple of nights, and then rode around here, visited various things, then stayed in Warsaw for a couple of days where I got the bike serviced. After Warsaw, continued touring through Poland towards the Tatra Mountains, stayed on the Tatra Mountains overnight. Because I spent quite a bit of time in Poland, I did see quite a lot. Gdansk was beautiful, utterly beautiful. I was only there a day. Um, yeah, so that was like out of a whole trip, Gdansk was a favourite city, although I didn't see that many cities. Yeah, then there was the Wolf's Lair, the Führer's Bunker complex. Very interesting. Yeah, it was kind of weird being there, but interesting as well. And then there was the salt mine just south of Krakow, which was really amazing. Guided trip, hundreds of meters down this salt mine. Like I've made loads of videos of everywhere I've been. Though I've made so many videos of. Uh, but yeah, that was really really interesting going down that deep underground and hearing the history of the salt mine. And then headed into Slovakia and zigzagged around Slovakia I spent 3 days in Slovakia. 2 nights I spent in Bratislava. Then I got into Slovakia. Well, Slovakia, I just fell in love with the mountains, the roads, the landscape. Um, I stayed in a really peaceful place. It was like almost like staying with somebody's home. I found it on Booking.com in this little quiet village. Just one night, but I just really felt very at home and at peace there. That was very nice. And then in Slovakia, there's so many castles. I'd like to go back and just do a tour of the castles. It'd be amazing. This one I went to, it was where the countess, because she got bored. Apparently, the count went off on his, you know, escapades, and she was bored in the castle on top of this mountain by herself. And she used to entice the local girls up and then torture them and murder them. My goodness me. Anyway, she got found out and she got bricked into the wall of the castle and they fed her through a slot in the wall and she survived like that for 4 years. My goodness me. Woof. Anyway, that was quite a grisly story. Bratislava, and I kept calling it Bratislavia, which is wrong. So Bratislava. And yeah, the inner old city is absolutely beautiful. Yes, I did love that as well. And then headed up into the Czech Republic and basically zigzagged around Czech Republic, not visiting any particular city. In the Czech Republic, I zigzagged around there for 3 days. Yeah, in the Czech Republic, without a doubt, it was the Makocha Abyss, a huge sinkhole down in the ground, and there's a guided tour down into caves. There's a cave system, massive caverns full of stalagmites and stalactites. And so it was a walking tour, and then you get on a boat. So you have an underground boat trip through these tiny tunnels to get out again. That was definitely that was fascinating, actually. It's amazing to be there. I think it was at this point that I was ready to come home, and I made that decision that now it's time to go back. So from the Czech Republic, I rode into southern Germany, the Bavaria area, and into the Schwarzwald or Black Forest. Spent a couple of nights with a friend there. So after Germany, head into France, and this was a day on the major roads, as bigger roads as I could to make distance now, and then heading down to the south of France there. In France, on the way back, I didn't visit anywhere as such, but on my second day, I think it was the best ride of the whole trip. It was all day, was riding through fantastic curvy roads, small roads, main roads, but all winding, twisty, curvy roads through the most magnificent scenery, mountains, gorges, beautiful green countryside. Um, oh, heading towards the into Pyrenees area, and it was just stunningly beautiful. And then enjoying the food on the way and stopping in beautiful places to eat, having delicious French cuisine. Honestly, that was the France. I really enjoyed that bit. But yeah, and then the next day, heading across into Spain, just north of Barcelona, whereas I stayed 2 nights in Montserrat. And then it was into Spain, and I did go into Montserrat and up into Montserrat, which like I made a video about that as well. There's so many videos, but that was like just stunning and quite an experience to be up on that mountain. You know, so just check the videos out and they'll tell you all the stories. But yeah, this has been some amazing trip without a doubt. And that was my last sightseeing visit, because from this moment on, it was like survival mode, get home mode. This is hot riding. So it was from here to 1, 2, 3 more days of riding. I chose to stay nearer the coast as much as possible to avoid the central heat, and that was hot enough. I've ridden through all sorts of weather conditions: scorching heat, torrential rain. I had to have the tyres changed while I was in Poland. The original Seats, the grips, they lasted me 10,500 kilometres. They still had good mileage on them. I reckon they'd have done a good 1,000 more, but I was like in a place where I could have got new tyres, and did I want to risk running them right to the very end and not getting new tyres somewhere else? So I thought now is the time, and I got both tyres changed. And the only choice I had for this tyre size was, and in a pair, matching pair, was Heidenau K60 Scouts. And you know what? I'm really pleased I fitted them as well, because they have been a really nice tyre. For road touring, I was surprised. I mean, they're a little bit knobby. They're probably classed in the 50/50 range, um, but they're really quiet. They handle so well on the road, even on wet roads. I was quite amazed. And apparently they give really good mileage. And I've noticed, there's a slight better grip from these. Well, a considerably better grip than on the Seats on the gravel. So it gives me more confidence off road. And now I'm back. I'm looking forward to taking this beauty on the trails. Now I'm here. I've taken the metal can luggage off, um, and I'm not carrying my luggage every day. I feel free again. But then I was free while I was traveling. It was a whole beautiful experience. Actually, I've ridden. I'm really pleased with myself. I'm I feel I've really made a major achievement in my life to decide at 72 to buy a new bike. 2 months later, set off and just go traveling. And my major concern really was health, but I had overcome a lot of health issues through medical intervention, and then positive mental attitude, change of diet, cutting out various toxic substances, practicing exercise and yoga and meditation. I tell you, all that together put my mind and body into a place of a healthy, positive attitude. And I feel I've coped with a lot, and a lot of quite extreme circumstances. I mean, on the way back, coming through Spain, and I decided to just cut through the south of Spain in 3 days because it was extremely hot. The hottest day, it got up to 48 degrees centigrade. And I was on the Autostrada, and it was like, I thought, well, one moment I thought this is going to kill me. But I just felt I should just pull into a service station. I had a Belstaff wax jacket on, which does have zips here, and in the back for ventilation. And I filled the jacket, took it to a sink, filled it, soaked it inside with water, and it's a cotton lining. And I took the helmet and did the same inside the helmet, and that was this Scorpion helmet, adventure helmet. And so I came out of there dripping in water, and I was just put it all on. And I set off, and I was looking at the thermometer rising and rising and rising on the bike, and it went up to 48 to see. But the moving air, the water through the head and through the jacket. And I just cooled. I was cool. I could not believe how cool I went. And that physical change brought about a mental change, because once I felt I could cope now, my mind calmed down, stopped panicking about the heat, and I just felt, just keep riding. And I did that, and I think that day was like a 6 hour riding day, but I stopped regularly, stopped every hour and a half, topped up with, was drinking a lot, I had water on my backpack, drink a lot of cool drinks when I stopped in service stations, topped the water in the jacket a couple of times in the helmet. And you know what? I was amazed how well I did. And it's like, wow. So that, I think that was I think when you're in a position of, well, I'm here, what else can I do? I can't just sit in a service station at the side of the motorway till the sun stops shining and, winter arrives. I had to get home. And so the next day I decided to leave at 5 in the morning, which made a big difference. And the next day I left at 4 in the morning. I was awake and I got through past Sevilla before the hottest part of the day, and I got home in a good time. So I'm so pleased with myself how I managed it, and my body, how well my body is doing. And this has made me want to do more. So let's see what happens either later this year or next year. But at the moment, I'm just glad to be home and stopped and be able to chill out and in familiar territory, I'm not moving from hotel to hotel to hotel and packing up my bags every day. I did get a bit, I've had enough. I got to a point that I've had enough of this. I decided I want to get home. And that's what I did. So, and it's a long way. When you're in Czech Republic and you want to get home to the Algarve in Portugal, it's a long way. But I did it. So yeah, I've had a fantastic time. This motorcycle, I cannot say enough about it. I probably will do another review about likes and dislikes at some point. I've already done my first one, but I've done a lot more kilometers on it since. Things I've done, the places I've been and experienced. But can you do it at 72? Well, there's older people than me still doing amazing things, and I don't think of myself as old, and I think that's the key issue. Stop thinking old. Stop it. If you think you're old, stop it. I've heard people at 40 say they're too fucking old. Stop it. Change your mind. Change your life. There's a lot of it going on. Anyway, thank you for watching, and may you all live long and ride on.